Hey there, in this video I'm going to share a lot of tips related to how to improvise and create rhythms and loops around a groove that I've heard described as a partido alto. And this was requested specifically from one of my students, Johannes, in the Creative Strings boot camp. The groove sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it goes to a challenge that I played on that was by two great Brazilian musicians. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing their names, but it's Hamilton Holanda and Joao Bosco. And I'll link to that so you can hear it, but just a little bit so you can hear what the song sounds like that I played, because Johannes asked me to basically break this down. So the song sounds like something like this. Sorry, here we go. This is the very famous tune. So we're going to get into the tune at tempo, but I want to just set up the groove here first. So I did it slowly. 3, 4, 1, 2, like that, right? So what you want to do is you want to just mark out all the eighth notes, or this is just what I would do. I would write down all the eighth notes. You've got 8 eighth notes per measure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I will put an accent on wherever the accents happen. When if we listen, it's on the 2, 5, 7, 1, 2. Right? 2, 5, 7, 1, 2. 2, 5, 7, 1, 2. So you have to slow that way down. And then you want your bow to be going like this. There's two variations. By the way, I cover a lot of this stuff. This is pretty advanced. So if you want to find more about some of these bowing techniques, just look for the links below and you can go back and start with easier stuff. But basically there's two things to look out for here. One is just keeping down, up, which looks like this. But here's a variation where I'm going to play a note long, and you have to be able to move your bow long and then get back into that down up thing, which takes a little bit of work. Right? Now another thing I would do to set up, the way that I set up this loop, before I started, I went like this. And then I started. If you want to create that feeling of length or a legato note when you're doing this, you can do that. So you can keep your hand moving. So when I do this, there's two ways. One is, where you strum and you keep strumming. The other is where you let your hand move like that. And if you let it ring, then you get that. The way I set up, it's tricky. This is one of the actually a tricky loop to set up, because you really have to get this going first. So I would 1 E into 2 E into 3 E into 4 E into step. Once you have that going, that's your loop. And by the way, when I recorded my solo for this challenge, I didn't actually go through all these steps that I'm showing you right now to actually make the loops. Although I often have worked on different bossa nova or choro grooves or partido alto grooves. But you don't have to do all these things, but I think for Johannes this will be useful. The next thing I would really focus on, and what I worked on when I was doing my solo, is melodic rhythm. So again, the melodic rhythm of the melody, the rhythm of the melody, right? That, like, we could take that rhythm, we could try to play with that rhythm. So I'm going to take it at a slower tempo. play with that feeling. So if you want, you can try some of these things with me, okay? Let's try something like... on the ups, so just experiment. You could even do something like this. Try like playing a scale, but just keeping the ups going. Would try to make it feel comfortable. Up, 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 up. Here's another one where we're going to alternate on the 3. Any figure like that, just over a C major chord. So try something like that. You could also do that on a scale. So on a scale, it might be like this. Let you explore it for a second, and I'll let these grooves also run more for you at the end so you can explore it some more. Okay, so trying to get that melodic rhythm is really important, just exploring different melodic rhythms. The way I think about it when I'm trying to play some of these styles from Brazil is I try to just accentuate the offbeats. I just try to accentuate the offbeats, and I try to listen for the melodic rhythms. So now, if I do a little improvisation over this simplified version, the slower version of the groove, what I'll do is I'll really focus on limiting myself to only lines that I can play that are in rhythm. And that will require me to not play. It's about choosing not to play a lot of the time. So I'm going to give you an example. Just trying to play in rhythm. You can play after me if you want. That, but I just want to point out to you how little bow I'm using. Very little bow. I think a lot of times as a classical player, we've been taught to use the bow in certain ways, so we, as a default, we go to that. But I'm really prioritizing, in my mind, I'm giving primacy to the rhythm. I want it to feel like it's really in the pocket. So that kind of is my guiding principle, which sort of overrules the classically ways I was trained to play, because otherwise I might play more like this. You know what I mean? Like, if I wanted to get a big sound, I might be tempted to either use a lot of bow or separate the bow more, or brush and lift and attack with all this brush strokes, but I tend to stay in the string. And also another thing I want to bring your attention to is this difference. I work in both sides of it. So I'll work on everything with separate bow, but then I'll also work on it without moving the bow. But this is how I get to that. So for example, so I encourage you to try it both ways. So I'll let you play a little bit after me now on this, and then I'll get into the tune just a little bit more maybe, and let you have these grooves. So yeah, just play after me, okay? I try to use my bowing. I'm slurring a lot, okay? All one bow, right? Now I'm going to do this. Here's a quote. Girl from Ipanema, right? It's actually in C of B here. So those are a lot of different aspects of how. Now if you wanted, you could take this back to the partido alto groove and try to, instead of doing it like this, you could try to do it like this. Remember that there's two ways to do that, right? So if you speed it up, the eventual tune, the way I think about the harmony, I'll just explain that really briefly. I'll try to. So this is basically C major, and then I'm still staying in C major. Here I'm going to play probably 2 flats, 3, then back to all naturals. Now here I'm going to go to whole tone. And then here it's 1 flat, F major. Now here is a 2/5 minor in A minor. So anyway, that is the tune. My loop could be better in terms of the groove there, but basically that's it. That's essentially how I practice this groove. It's different ways to work on the loop, different ways to work on the accompaniment, the melodic rhythm, the solo. Again, that's always gonna be my focus, is can I play whatever I'm playing in, first of all, in rhythm, but then second of all, even if the rhythm is accurate, is that accurate rhythm somehow honoring the clave of the music, or the accents falling in what feels like the right place in the beat. And for me, I didn't grow up with Brazilian music. I don't consider myself like a real arbiter of the authenticity of the style by any means. So I'm kind of sharing how, as what I consider myself a little bit of an outsider of the music, or a student of the music, and this is just how I approach it, you know. But the more that I spend time with it, the more that I feel like I'm able to have something to say without hopefully without harming the music. So I'm going to give you both of these grooves just so you can have them for a second here to play along with on your own. I'll give you this one, which is just C major going to D minor, basically, so you can stay in the key of C major. And then I'll give you the faster loop as well if you want. So here's the first one. You can just play along with this if you want, all right? And by the way, before I leave you with these loops, Johannes, obviously, who requested this, Johannes, if you have any questions for me about this, please put them in our private forum for the bootcamp members. And anybody else, check the links below and make sure to subscribe to this channel, because I'm putting out videos almost every day. And check all the different ways that you can work with me, including getting the new free 60-minute masterclass that I'm offering. So I'll link to that as well. Thanks. So this is for you, Johannes, or whoever's watching, just to work on some of those concepts. I'll let this roll for a couple minutes, and then I'll come back and let the faster version of the tune roll. Cool, you can rewind that if you want, but now I'm going to give you the up-tempo version of the tune. And it's not perfect. The first chord should be a C major, but you're going to hear an A in the bass, so that's sort of a mistake on my part. But in case you want to play along with it, I'll also put the chart, the chord chart, in the description. Here you go. I think this is a little faster. Let's see what it sounds like. Go ahead. Hey, great job getting through this. Good to connect with you as always. Hope to see you in another one soon. Until then, check the links and happy practicing.